Bitcoin has hit a brand new all-time high, and one of the big questions is, will Ethereum follow? I think that it will, but I'm going to still say that I like Solana better. I see more of the tokenization of assets building upon the Solana blockchain, and I just want to give you a number that perhaps you've never heard me say before, and that's $800. Ultimately, one day, this is going to be up between $800 and $1,200. It has yet to have its really big breakout move. It's got a bigger day coming, and I wanted to put that on your guys' radar so that you remember that I told you that I do like Solana. Now, I am enjoying a beautiful trade with Ondo right now. I have a leveraged futures position that's up 200%. This is something that I alerted in the Crypto Gems folder of the Stocks with Josh Pro Trading community. I actually alerted this at around 76 cents, and it's up here around 87 cents today and climbing with the target of 90 cents. This is not a crypto video, but I wanted to throw out some comments on the big news that Bitcoin is breaking out to all-time highs. If you remember that when we had pulled back beneath $100 not too long ago, I said in that video that I still saw Bitcoin hitting that 114 to 116 level that I predicted last. I said the up move isn't over, and now we're going to get near it. Now, that doesn't mean that that is going to be the top and the ceiling. It just simply means that that's the minimum that I was expecting, and I wasn't going to get off of my bullishness for Bitcoin until we hit it. Once we get to that level, then I'm going to reassess how momentum and how volume and how the price action is moving, and I'll give you an update. But I'll tell you that right now I am feeling bullish on Bitcoin because of the way that we rebuilt momentum for such a long period of time and the opportunity for us to have a really strong Q3. And possibly we're pushing towards the idea of a blow-off top in 2025. What confirms this? Well, the SPY got above that 596 on the monthly time frame, and we've been blasting up ever since. But in addition to that, the AI story is really strong. And that brings me to my second news story, is that NVIDIA has hit a $4 trillion market cap with Apple in its rearview mirror. Apple, of course, I am bullish on right now, but it's been a huge lagger, even falling into the category of underdog, while NVIDIA is sitting up at all-time highs. Is it cresting at 163, or is it still building momentum for a push up to 170 to 175? Not only is NVIDIA up at a $4 trillion market cap and Apple is lagging, but today there was conversation on CNBC by a top analyst pushing forward the idea that they needed a regime change. They needed a new CEO. They had to dump Tim Cook because he was only good as a CEO under peacetime, but they needed a wartime CEO. What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about AI, guys. AI has absolutely been a disruptor to everything: technologies, innovations, productivity, and profit margins. But in addition to all of that, obviously Wall Street. And the fact is that I had predicted, actually about a year and a half ago, I began to dog on Apple quite a bit. I did it in the Stock Squad live sessions, and I said Tim Cook has missed the boat, and that this guy is going to probably retire at some point in the next couple of years. And the fact that Warren Buffett was selling off the stock was a huge problem. It was a miss when it came to his confidence in Tim Cook leading the company, as well as many other things I talked about at the time. Well, we're seeing that. Barely a year later, you've got conversations on CNBC about dumping Tim Cook because he's not doing a good job running Apple, and they've been left behind. Now, I'm not bearish on Apple. I actually think that they can catch up. They can begin to spend some money. I don't know what will happen with Tim Cook or management of Apple. I think if Tim Cook stepped down or retired, or they announced a new CEO, I think it could be very disruptive to the price action. But for the time being, you guys know that I'm sitting in a decent sized position of call options that expire in September for Apple. And I've got a minimum prediction on Apple moving up to 228. When it gets to 228, we'll assess it then. And don't be surprised if we even get some gap up days over the course of the next 10 trading days, because Apple, as it pulls back and people underestimate it, it's going to continue to power higher. It's catching up right now. So I'm still bullish on Apple. Now, a couple other interesting headlines. We got to talk about the taco trade. If you don't know what the term taco trade means, it means that Trump will always chicken out. And the idea is that he keeps kicking the tariff battle down the road. And we have had another event where he scared the market with slapping a 50% tariff on Brazil because they had hit us with some tariffs. And the interesting thing there is that this is a country where Brazil has a trade deficit with us, which means that we're sort of taking advantage of them. They attempted to balance it out, very similar to what Trump is doing with countries like China and the EU. And of course, when they attempted to balance out their economy, Trump slapped them with a retaliatory 50% tariff increase. And it did cause the markets a little moment of pause and hesitation, but they brushed it off because they're brushing off the things that Donald Trump is doing. They're going to wait and see until those tariffs actually take effect and the costs begin to get reflected in inflation and other financial decisions. Nobody really believes that there's any bite to the bark. That's why the market's ignoring the tariff dynamic right now. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about a really interesting trade, but I want to teach you an idea or a term before I get into it, and it's called secular trend. What exactly is a secular trend? Is it when stocks begin to act like a bunch of pagans? No. The term secular in finance comes from the Latin word saculum, meaning a long period of time or a generation. So the subject matter today is about long-term stock investment, and I've got a pick for you. Now, we've been talking about some hot stocks recently. RX has climbed after I shared it yesterday. Before that, AMPX, which has been a rocket ship, is yet again up today. But those you're going to have to take profits on because the up move will come to an end. Those are very short-term burst opportunities, and some of you will stay in them too long and you won't take profit. But if you need something slower, I'm getting ready to lay out for you what is a potential secular long-term trade. It means that the fundamentals and the technicals have aligned for this to continue to go up, not for 6 months, not for a year, but possibly for a decade. What stock am I talking about? Well, believe it or not, I've already mentioned this stock in the last week. It's TTD. The Trade Desk. They've got a unique product in the age of AI where they're changing and improving the advertisement business. And especially as we move into potentially any form of a pullback or recession, maybe in 2026, this company could begin to lead or take advantage or take the advantage from companies like Google and other advertisers who have yet to fully employ the AI bent to everything they're doing. The Trade Desk gets it. And they've got a product that's proving it. And it fell from an extremely high price range of $140 and it capitulated all the way down to $40. Now, why did it do that? Well, its Q4 earnings had been priced to perfection and it was a miss, okay? It was a miss expectation. They didn't crush it and the market just took them out to the woodshed and ran it down much further than anyone could have imagined. But the fact is, it got oversold and it's been slowly building a base, which has clearly been formed at $60. And with the fundamental story and the technical story beginning to align, this could be setting up for a move all the way to $200. And I don't think that's going to come overnight. I don't think that's going to come in a month or 6 months. I think it's going to trend. I think it's going to be a secular trend. And that's why it's getting the lofty honor of being talked about 2 times in less than a week by me. All right, so I'm going to get into it a little bit deeper. I'm going to share the story with you, but let me take a moment and say, this, my friends, is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for dropping a heart and saying hi in the comment section. If you need help picking stocks, charting, understanding trends, hit the subscribe and join me. Now, in my pro trading community, ChartGoat University, I drop trade setups each and every day. Today was an easy day to trade as the market was trending. We got clear rejection on a couple of the plays, allowing us a nice, beautiful pullback and a fat percentage gain right at the open. Now, I'm going to live trade with the family tomorrow, so make sure you get in there so you can join that Friday morning session. Me and one of my crown traders, Spy Lord, should be kicking things off Friday, wrapping up this trade week and working to make some money as a community. Don't miss out on it. You can come and join me by going to the website, which is the same name as the show, www.stockswithjosh.com. I look forward to seeing you over there. Okay, let's talk about TTD again. Now, their Q1 earnings that we just got and caused a huge pop in the price of the stock reversed the problems that the market saw at the tail end of their Q4 earnings in 2024, and most specifically, it was their AI solution, Kokai. Now, it showed that they were able to improve their profit margins, and now I've said this many times on this show that what Wall Street wants is accelerating profit margins. That's how you can price in that future multiple of profit earnings, by seeing profit margins accelerate. It's one of the reasons why Tesla's run into a lot of problems, because they began to see the profit margins shrink, and they've yet to begin to reaccelerate. We might have hit a low there, but that's another story for another day. With TTD, they got back to, in Q1, accelerating profit margins, and they're going to be keeping a watchful eye for a confirmation of that with the upcoming Q2 earnings here on August 7th, which means that if the market is confident that TTD is a true future secular trend and a turnaround story, it's going to begin to see some price acceleration in anticipation of those earnings. And if the earnings comes out the way the analysts are hoping for, this stock is really going to shoot higher. I'm going to give you those targets today. I want you to be watching this stock and potentially participating in it, but I also want you to do your own due diligence. Quick comment: people impersonate me. They use my picture and my name, and they represent themselves as me. I'll never ask you to DM me or try to connect with you and offer you copy trading or any platform that you would be requested to send money to that I somehow will manage. That's not me. Okay, so here's the next thing I want you to be aware of. The post-earnings technical breakout saw something that I've been highlighting in a lot of my videos recently, which is smart money accumulation, institutional accumulation. So after Q1 earnings, Wall Street decided to begin to rebuild their position after that huge capitulation from 140 to 40. Wall Street began to rebuild their position around $60. Now, we shot up above it recently and we pulled back. And right then, I alerted everybody in the video and in the Stocks with Josh Discord, time to buy. I bought. I'm up hundreds of percentage points right now. And the opportunity, in my opinion, is secular bullish trend, which means that this could really continue and really have legs higher. Now, here's something else I want you guys to know about a secular trend, is that it largely ignores macro events, which means if it's a truly strong trend, even if the market pulls back, it will not fall. Basically, the falling's in the past. It's going to pull back a little bit, but nowhere near as much. And it's going to be on green days that it goes up higher and faster than other stocks that aren't showing the same strength. All right, let's take a minute and talk about what some analysts think before I get into the charts. What do the analysts think collectively about TTD? Are they sounding the buy alarm right now? Well, the Wall Street consensus is absolutely a strong buy. Tip ranks, Market Beat, Fintel, and TradingView Group's 33 out of 41 analysts have a 12-month target on TTD of $97 to $102. So yes, they're definitely seeing some upside from here. And Zacks sets it at $89.30. Now, recently, it's begun to see some upgrades by some other analysts. Citigroup raised its target to $90 from $82 on July 1st. Evercore has held their $90 target after upgrading them to outperform in late June. JMP Securities has maintained its $100 target, suggesting bullish conviction on the stock, and Jefferies has a $125 target, and Wolfe Research has a $155 target. And so I could definitely say that collectively the analysts see this as going up right now and having opportunity ahead. And as I said, all that institutional money bought in deep at $60. And what's their target? Their target's $100. Now it just has to be proved out through this upcoming earnings that I talked about. So now it's time to jump into that chart. All right, we're going to look at a very high time frame chart. Each candle is 1 month of price action. So what I'm showing you here is that we had a very strong double bottom back here at $40. Now specifically, the low of these candles, we have a low here of 39. Then we have another low of 39.43, which you can see is a little bit higher. And then the market came all the way down and bounced, and it bounced on the low of $42.96. and this is pretty significant from a very high time frame perspective, is that the overall trend was protected. So this is one of the reasons why I believe from a technical perspective that the long-term trend is intact, was its response to what I refer to as critical support. You wanted to see buyers come in at this level, and that's exactly what we saw. So this is the perfect spot for a long-term turnaround on a high time frame chart. If we want to go look at the momentum indicators, we see something very interesting happening here that also confirms the potential for a long-term secular trend. This has done this before, where it's had a huge sell-off. It began to slow up. It dipped on a monthly time frame under the zero level briefly, and then from that point forward, once it crossed back above the orange signal line, we then had at least 2 years of a long-term uptrend. And I think that's exactly where we're at right now. We are simply duplicating the past, and this giant green candle that you see right here is exactly the same as this giant green candle that you see right here. And we're a little bit further along in this trend. Now, there could be a little bit of pullback, but one of the things I would say is if there's any pullback on this stock, I think that we're largely going to be curling up, and we're going to enter into that long-term secular trend. And so any pullback in this range, in my opinion, will be welcomed. Now, there is resistance on this chart at $83, and there is support on this chart for $72. So this would be worth buying, in my opinion, anywhere between 83 and ultimately any form of a pullback to 72. This had previously been resistance, and now it's turned support. Now, ultimately, the critical line or the stop loss zone would be at around $68.50, but I don't actually think that we'll get back to that level. This would be the area right below this visual range volume profile where it begins to open up and gap. We are slowly pushing our way through this area where a lot of buyers and sellers are. There's a lot of liquidity here. And if we can push ourselves above $83, you can see that this fell so quickly. If it gets above $83, well, the sellers are really dry up until you get to first an area of resistance at 100, and then after that, 120. So here's the bottom line. From a technical perspective, once we clear 75 on that chart, there is a very, very easy path to $83 to $90. But here's the signal I want you guys to be thinking about. If we actually get to earnings and we're at $90, in my opinion, that's the market front running the belief that this is going to be an explosive move that's going to ultimately take us all the way up to $100. You are early to this, my friends. This is not a move that's already occurred. I'm finding one for everybody that could be a long-term trend up. Even after we get to $100, if we get there and we see a huge support of institutional buying and high volume that pushes us up to $100, it may cool off for a period of time and consolidate, but I believe that it would be telling us in advance that its long-term outlook over the next couple of years is going to be to slowly build progressively higher. This is one that we could really accumulate and let cook for a long period of time, and it may not be subject to the harsh pullbacks that we might see in some of the big tech companies that's already been running with little resistance since 2023. This one fell and got overly punished, and there's opportunity in it for a long-term play. Let's keep it simple. My pre-earnings prediction would be a move to $90, and if the market likes what it sees, it should pop up above $100. So there's plenty of meat on this bone right now. I hope you guys have been playing this one with me. All right, let me know what you think. 2 times I've talked about TTD. I see opportunity. I like it even more since it's bounced off my low when I alerted it the first time. I think this is still going to continue to build as we get closer to earnings, which is less than a month away. So be watching this one. Look at the red days as blessings and opportunities as I do. And we're going to ride this one out together. Let me know what you guys think of it. Make sure it's put on your watch list and let me know if you think this has got the opportunity that I see it possibly having. Until I see you guys next, peace and blessings. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the live trade session in the morning. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.